What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video we are going to be discussing the biggest UFC career fall-offs in recent history amongst current fighters on the roster. I think there's one fighter who's not in the promotion anymore, but that just proves my point that these fighters have had generational fall-offs. They came from a peak. Maybe they were a champion, maybe they were an undefeated fighter at one point, or maybe they were just a solid contender, and then they went on a downward spiral. They went on a losing streak and they didn't recover, or they haven't recovered yet. Some of them might have recovered a little bit, but they still have not gotten back to the point where they were at the start of their skid. So without further ado, I think I've got one fighter per division. I've got a few divisions with multiple fighters, and yeah, let's start off with the flyweight division. So, flyweight, there's only one guy I could really think of, to be honest. Obviously, he's not with the UFC anymore, but no one in the current rankings I looked at and thought generational fall-off. But Matheus Nicolau is definitely a guy who qualifies for a fall-off. It might not be quite the same heights that he fell from, but this dude was undefeated in the UFC coming in. He was not undefeated overall, but he started his UFC career, I believe, 4-0, coming off a win over Matt Schnell. You know, I was convinced this dude was some fucking elite, pristine, precise counter-striker, right? Because he pieced apart Matt Schnell. At that point, I wasn't aware how awful Matt Schnell's chin was. But yeah, he was coming off a big win streak, six-fight win streak overall. Oh no, sorry, my bad. He did actually have fights in the UFC before. He got KO'd by Dustin Ortiz. He went away, won a few fights, and came back. But yeah, he beat Manel Kape, he beat Tim Elliott, he beat David Dvorak, he beat Matt Schnell, and then he lost his next three fights, getting KO'd by Royval and Perez, then losing to Elmabayev, and now he's no longer with the fucking promotion. So yeah, that's about the extent of a fall-off that I could think of at flyweight. You know, getting cut from the sport is not the best look. On a three-fight loss streak too, like, it wasn't to any bad fighters. Like, Royval, Perez, and Elmabayev are all top 10. Royval's number 1 ranked in the division. So it was kind of interesting, the decision to cut him. I say they should make UFC should contact like Brave and say, make Mikhaev versus Matheus Nicolau, winner gets back in the UFC. I'm not sure how fond Brave would be of the idea of like making a fight where the winner just leaves their sport, their promotion. But that's what should happen, in my opinion, because I don't think either of them should have been cut. But if you want to see who comes back, make them prove themselves, have them fight each other. Mikhaev versus Nicolau, that'd be a good fight, I actually do think. Anyway, let's move on to the bantamweight division. So, Henry Cejudo's the guy I've decided to go with, because this man made his retirement, or made his initial retirement in 2020, coming off wins over TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, Demetrius Johnson, and Marlon Moraes. Not in that order, obviously. You know, simultaneous champ. Defended both belts. He was on top of the fucking world, you know. This man really had people putting them in his fucking top 10 all-time list, bro. Like, when this dude retired, I actually went back and looked up a few GOAT lists from, like, 2020. I'm not kidding, bro. Henry Cejudo was, like, number 7 on some people's lists. Some motherfuckers had this guy above DC. Some guys had this dude above fucking all these guys, alright? Like, there's people that were, like, talking like, oh, Cejudo, if he came back and won, he's top 5 all-time. And then he proceeds to lose his next 3 fights and is now probably going to get fed to fucking Vinicius Oliveira in his next fight. Like, I don't know what happened, bro. This dude came back after 4 years, retired, acted like we would give a fuck. I'm retiring tonight, Dana. I'm happy with what I've done. I'm putting my belt down. Triple C's out, guys. That's done for me, guys. And then he fucking comes back. He's like, yapping some shit, talking like before he came back, saying like, O'Malley, oh, I'd love a tune-up fight, all this. Gets his title fight on return, fair enough. Loses by close decision, fights Marab, loses, everyone's like, alright, it's fine, he lost to the bantamweight champion, and then the guy who went on to become bantamweight champion, that's no big deal, you know, he was competitive, and he loses to Song, and it's just like, okay, well, how many fights can we just be like, oh yeah, well, he was competitive? Like, no, this dude was, like, pound for pound, top 3 in the sport when he retired, I'm pretty sure. I forget, maybe they had him even number 1, but I know he was, like, top 5 at least when he retired, and now he's come back and lost 3 fights, and now it's like, oh, but he looked competitive. Like, what do you mean he looked competitive? This dude was a double champion, he retired, came back, and now he's like a fringe top 10 quality bantamweight. Like, I'm not sure if I'd pick him to beat fucking Marcus McGee. Like, that's the fucking level we're at with Cejudo at this point, of the fall-off that has occurred, because he came back when he was like 36. Like, what are you doing? You wasted the fucking prime of your career because you said you were done. And then you realized that you were irrelevant. You ran out of fucking money. So you came back and thought you were going to get some big payday. Like, you ain't a star. Like, this dude really thought people would give a fuck when he left. And Dana White goes, yep, what's the question? What's next for the belt? Yep, we're booking Jan versus Aldo next fucking weekend. Like, Dana did not give a singular fuck. And you could see his reaction when Suda's like, I'm out, guys. Dana's just like looking there, just being like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Good for you. So yeah, Cejudo, generational fucking fall off, going from beating the GOATs of multiple divisions, to now losing to Song Yadong. Not saying that's like a bad look, but like being on a 3-fight loss, going from like 4 all-time fucking level wins to a 3-fight loss streak is crazy work. Anyway, let's move on to the featherweight division. Oh no, we got one more though, sorry. Cody Garbrandt, a bantamweight. I won't talk about him too long. You guys know the story here. He was absolutely killing it. Cody Garbrandt, let's look up his record, because he was absolutely on fire, and then he's gone on an absolute fucking generational fall off. Because let me see. Jamie, pull that up. I know there's people saying that joke's dead. I ain't stopping it. It's going to keep going forever. But let me, if my fucking computer wants to load, can I pull up Cody Garbrandt's Sherdog? I can kind of go off my memory, because I know he beat Dominic Cruz. I still hate the fact that everyone acts like that version of Garbrandt would like be a champion right now. Like, oh, he was the best bantamweight in the world. Yes, that's how winning the belt works. You were the best bantamweight in the world when you won the belt. Like, people acting like that version of Garbrandt's like the best fighter of all time. Like, no, it's not. Anyway, like, it's just, he just fought a favorable stylistic matchup because Dominic Cruz has no power, so he can win. But yeah, this dude's lost. He was undefeated, right? Coming off wins over fucking Thomas Almeida. Big Thomas Almeida. Big Marcus Brimage, you know? And then he got the win over Dominic Cruz. Back-to-back losses to Dillashaw. That fucking Pedro Munoz KO loss was the most retardedly painful thing ever. He then saves himself. He was on a 3-fight loss streak. If that Assunção loss was not there, he would be on a 5-fight loss streak going into that Trevin Jones fight. But he got that Assunção win. We're like, oh, he's back. He immediately loses to Rob Font and Kai Kara France. I don't know why the fuck he cut to flyweight. And then he gets a decision win over Trevin Jones and a finish over Brian Kello. Everyone's like, oh, he's back. MMA Guru picked this dude to beat Davison Figueiredo, by the way. Just going to put that out there. He gets subbed in the second. Hasn't fought since. Pulled out of a fight with Miles Johns in the Apex, buddy. This dude went from schooling prime Dominic Cruz, or maybe not prime, but like schooling Dominic Cruz, the bantamweight GOAT at the time, to Apex maxing against Miles Johns and pulling out. That's crazy. Anyway, let's move on to the featherweight division. Calvin Kattar. The fall off of Calvin Kattar needs to be studied. Now, was this guy a champion? No. Did he fight for a belt? No. But this dude was like, I need to check the odds. What were the... I'm actually going to search on Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Let me find the... What were the opening odds going into this fight? Let's see. On best fight odds, I'm trying to find this right now. This dude, wait. Hang on. He was at... Max Holloway was, opened at minus 135, closed at around minus 150, minus 180. That's what I'm seeing it at some books. He closed at around minus 170 against Calvin Kattar. Kattar closed as like a plus 130 underdog, right? Against Max Holloway. He then gets a fucking significant strike record put on his head. 445 on his head, on his dome. Right? Gets absolutely whooped. And this was him coming off like some good wins, right? Like he was on a bit of a streak. There were people were calling him the freshman going into this fight. You know, that's what the whole Holloway thing was. It was like, oh, Holloway's the senior, Kattar's the freshman. He's the younger guy that comes and takes his place or some shit. That was the discussions from some of the lesser intelligent fans, right? Coming off wins over Jeremy Stevens by KO. Dan Ige obviously had that loss to Zabit where he almost won. He was winning going into what should have been a 4th or 5th round, but Zabit Magomed Sharipov, the only man to ever have a main event put to 3 rounds because his cardio was too fucking shit to hold up. Shout out to Zabit, by the way, the biggest what if in UFC history that refused a 5-round main event and was getting his ass whooped in the 3rd. But anyway, Yeah, but Kelvin Cater was on a bit of a streak apart from that, you know, with Danny, get Jeremy Stevens, loses to Holloway, right? Gets that cut, everyone's like, oh, he's cooked. Comes back a year later against Giga Chikadze. Everyone was picking against him. He wins. We're like, incredible, great stuff. He then loses 4 in a row. Robbery, in my opinion, against Josh Emmett. Injured against Arnold Allen. Did fuck all against Aljo. And then got out-jogged by Yusuf Salal. Obviously, no, he did actually get outstruck at range for basically the whole fight. But yeah, the fall-off is crazy. And now I'm like, I would pick fucking Doo Ho Choi to beat this guy. Like, I would pick Chepe Mariscal to beat. I would pick fucking Gabriel Santos. Like, I can name about 10. I'd pick William Gomez to outstrike this dude at range for 2 rounds. And probably lose the 3rd. Like, this is the discussion we're having with Kelvin Cater now, where maybe he has, like, people forget moment. Also, shout out Ricky Simone for avoiding being on this video, because if he'd lost, that would have been 4 in a row, he would have been featured. But he saved himself by sleeping that fucking alien, Javid Basharat. But no, Kelvin Cater, just casually snuck up a 4-fight loss streak. Like, we talk about guys as washed on like a 3-fight loss streak, or it took Ty until like 4 fights, 5 fights for us to be like, alright, he's fully cooked now, right? It took until the Marcin Tybura loss, which was his 4th in a row, for us to just accept Ty was completely gone, right? Kelvin Cater has just like, it's crazy how you can casually just like stack up like 3 or 4 losses in a row and no one actually, like, Peter Yan going into the Song Yadong fight, before he won that fight, was like borderline on a fucking, like, he was almost in this video. Like, that version of Yan before he beat Song, but he got the comeback. But it's so crazy how you can, in that case, you can actually just not be washed, but still stack up a few losses randomly. Like, that's the situation that people find themselves in. But yeah, Kelvin Cater, it's tough for him, because I'm pulling up Yan right now. Yan was on a 3-fight loss streak going into the Song Yadong fight. Lost 4 out of his last 5 if you include the DQ, obviously. And he got that, stopped that from happening. But yeah, Kelvin Cater, next fight, he's looking to avoid a 5-fight losing streak, which is crazy. Anyway, we'll see if he can do it. Let's move on, though, to the lightweight division. Benoit Saint-Denis, BSD, Lucas Tracy's boyfriend. I think it's Lucas Tracy's ex-boyfriend now. I think he dumped him. It's very sad news. But BSD, right, he's only on a 2-fight loss streak. But it feels like this dude is just so unbelievably cooked in his career. Like, he went from a minus 220 favorite against Dustin Poirier to now this dude's going to open at like plus 300 against Joel Alvarez and get slapped in the first. Like, let me tell you about this kid, Joel Alvarez. Kid's badass. Going to put BSD on a 3-fight loss streak. Joel Alvarez is going to tune this dude up and finish it. And even Lucas Tracy, the #1 BSD enthusiast on YouTube, is saying that BSD's done and he's going to lose. Like, that's so tough. Now, maybe he can win. Maybe he can, you know, people forget, man, his way to a smudge decision win over Joel Alvarez using his grappling. But I think in all likelihood he's cooked, and I'm just preemptively, you know, normally you can't call a fall off 2 losses in a row. But I'm preemptively just anticipating the 3rd loss against Joel Alvarez, which is basically a confirmed matchup right now. And yeah, he's cooked. If he loses to fucking Alvarez, what's next for him? You're going to get Ribovic? Like, I'm not confident he wins that, to be honest. Like, he's going to get Rebecca? He'd probably get chinned. Like, I don't know. BSD, it's tough. It's like he got fast-tracked and he beat Frivola, he beat Bonfim, who's been exposed as mid. He beat Moises, who kind of just loses fights to a lot of people now. And he beat Frivola by KO, who's now been exposed as unbelievably mid. Like, Ziam did it and did it cleaner. Even if he didn't do it quicker, he did it cleaner, and he did it more impressively, in my opinion. But yeah, BSD, and then he gets slapped by Poirier after a solid first round, which is crazy to think. He might just go out there and out-grapple the fuck out of Joel Alvarez. And just be too strong in the wrestling. Because he was doing well in the grappling against Poirier. But against fucking Moicano, this dude just looked so lost everywhere. So, I don't know, maybe that was an off night. Maybe he just couldn't get going. But BSD just doesn't feel like a guy who's going to get his momentum back. And that's where this entry kind of comes from. Is like, BSD feels like a guy who, when he's got the momentum, he feels like he's unstoppable. That's why this dude was such a big favorite against Poirier. I picked him, Lucas picked him, Guru picked him, most people picked him. And then he loses, and then it feels like he's just lost his confidence going into the Moicano fight. So unless he fucking just like military enthusiasts his way to a win and gets the comeback and gets some motivational speeches going on his Instagram reels, then he's cooked, and he's going to lose 3 in a row, and then it'll probably be 4 in a row after that, because doesn't seem like they're doing him any favors. It's like, alright, we got other French fighters now. We got Imavov at #1 middleweight. We've got Cyril Gane, who we can just chuck in a title fight against Aspinall once Jones leaves. We got Manon Fiorot fighting for the belt. We got fucking Fares Siam as our new lightweight guy. Like, he's better than you. So it doesn't seem like the UFC... Like, it seemed like they were heavy trying to get behind him, even after the Poirier fight, booking him against Moicano. And now it's like, oh, we don't really care about you. You're not that good. Moving on to the next guy. Like, that's the kind of vibe it's got with BSD. Anyway, bit of a fall-off for Benoit. Moving on, though, to the welterweight division. Osman, Kamaru Osman, little Maltese ahead. They can't even spell your name right. Osman. Look at the state of him. Fucking this guy. Kamaru Usman though, he is on a bit of a skid, you know. It doesn't feel like he's fallen off fight-wise. Like, this guy's not going out there and making you think, oh, Prime Usman would have ragdolled these guys. Like, he's kind of just getting outdone in fights. Like, he got comeback KO'd by Leon. But bro, everyone's like, oh, it's just 2 losses to Leon and a close loss to Hamza. It's like, yeah, but he's winless since 2021. Like, he's winless since 2021, recording podcast episodes for fucking the Pound for Pound podcast. It's like pound for pound biggest fall-offs with Henry Cejudo, competing for who can be more washed day by day. Like, this dude's walking backwards upstairs. This dude's walking on grass because his knees are too cooked. He's going to fight Buckley next probably and get slept. Maybe like that Kansas City main event is what we could see that fight for. But yeah, Usman just doesn't seem like he even wants to fight. There was all these talks about, oh, you can step in and fight Shavkat when Bilal pulled out, fight him for the interim belt. And fucking Kenny Okoye is like, Usman's the only one who makes sense because he's being retarded, you know, biased. That's what he does. But those were the fucking conversations. People were genuinely talking about Usman fucking stepping in to fight Shavkat for an interim title coming off 3 losses. Nuts. But regardless, he didn't get that because he refused it. And he's like, you know what? It's not really... at this point in my career, I don't really want to take... Well, then what fucking fight do you want to take? Also, he probably would have beat Shavkat the way Shavkat showed up in that fight. But, yeah, I don't know what the fuck Usman's doing. Like, is this guy accepting a fight? Is he just partially retired? Is he just a part-time fighter now? Like, we have not seen a fucking training video. Like, he's posted some "we soon come" or some shit like that. Some zesty fucking quote. Soon we come. Like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. So I assume, like, hinting at fight news, but, like, when's the last training video of Usman we've popped up? It's probably just him doing the fucking Joe drill on the bag, you know, or doing some light wrestling drills with fucking Justin Gaethje. You know, that's the latest we've seen of Usman in the training room. Otherwise, we're just anticipating the Buckley fight or something like that for him to just lose. But it just feels like Usman's career has just completely gone a 180. It's like he's gone from this dominant champion, active, fighting 3 times in 2021, 2021, and now he's winless since. He hasn't won since that Colby Covington questionable, could have been a draw fight at UFC 268. We're approaching UFC 313. This dude hasn't won a fight since UFC 268. That's crazy. I'm trying to think of a comparison of who's won a fight more recently. It's almost Stipe, but it's not. Stipe's still a fair bit off because Stipe fought pretty close to then. Stipe's fought more recently than Kamaru Usman, bro. Like, it's actually... Conor McGregor's last fight was 4 pay-per-views before Usman's last win. There you go. Think about that for a second. Just deep that one for a little moment of your day. Conor McGregor's last fight at UFC 264 was 4 pay-per-views before Kamaru Usman's last win. I said it again the exact same way, just for effect, you know. Anyway, let's move on to another guy, Colby Covington. Just lol. I don't even feel bad, you know. Some of these guys I feel bad for, but just lol. Colby, you know, fell off hard. Anyway, yeah, dude's trying to become a fucking poker player and losing still. I love the funniest thing. I open up my Twitter and I'd see like Colby Covington loses blackjack tournament or some shit because he was yapping about how he was doing some poker or blackjack, whatever the fuck he's doing, some gambling shit, and he just lost. Like, lost to Buckley and then loses his little gambling tournament a week later. Like, generational fall off for Colby. Hasn't won a fight since UFC 272. But again, crazy, Colby has a more recent win than Kamaru Usman. Nuts. And they've got like the same amount of fights in that time. Since they fought at UFC 268, Usman has 3 fights, Colby Covington has 3 fights. It's nuts. Just gonna mention that. They've got the same amount of fights since they last fought. And Colby was the one who fucking sat out from 272 until 296, I want to say. Yeah. Colby Covington sat out from UFC 272 to UFC 296. I'm not tripping. That's when his last fight was. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. That's when his last fight. Obviously, he fought Buckley since. But yeah, he fought Masvidal at 272, and he fought Leon Edwards coming off one win at UFC 296. Crazy. And still, he has the same amount of fights as Usman does since they fought. Anyway, let's move on to the middleweight division. Israel Adesanya. I manifested this. We manifested the downfall of Israel Adesanya, the last dog bender, the last gyno bender. Fuck this guy, yeah? Glad he fell off. I'm seeing all these sad Adesanya editors being like, I'm going to miss Prime Izzy, dude. Yeah, man, I'm going to miss those peak 49-46 point fest leg kick range decisions. Really going to miss those, bro. Heartbreaking stuff. Hall of Fame from right away. No, okay, he does deserve Hall of Fame, but people acting like, oh, the Izzy title reign was so good. No, it wasn't. The Izzy title reign was fucking awful. Everyone's like, oh, I missed the Three Kings title reign. Usman's was solid, but he still had some mid-fights in there. Izzy's was terrible. Volk's the title reign that I actually miss. Izzy's was shit, Usman's was mid, and Ngannou didn't even have a fucking title reign because he fought once and left. He defended the belt once in a robbery decision against Gunn and dipped. And yeah, Izzy, you know, I loved those Jared Cannonier and Yoel Romero and Marvin Vettori. Those title defenses really make me miss the days of Prime Izzy, dude. You know, shout out. I cannot. Izzy fans are so annoying. Everyone acting like this dude's some top 5 entertainment fighter of all time. This dude's just one of the best to ever do it, you know. One of the most underappreciated champions. I'm going to miss Izzy. I'm not going to miss Izzy, bro. I'm going to miss rooting against him, and that's about it. Anyway, though, Israel Adesanya. Hope he loses his next fight. What is it? 3-fight loss streak? 3 fights? That's tough. You know, got that undeserved title shot. Couldn't get your fucking fluky little KO in your rematch, buddy. Couldn't get your fluky KO in your undeserved title shot against Dricus, did you? Anyway, yeah, lost to Strickland, lost to Dricus, lost to Amavov. You get owned, bum. The new age owns you. Get out the sport. Kill yourself. No. Easy, fine. But still, everyone's like, oh, the hate's so forced, bro. Hate's so cringe. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of cringe. And yeah, Izzy'd KO me if he met me in person, right? But also, the hate is warranted. And anyone acting like it's not is retarded. And you're a gay little fucking Izzy anime enjoyer who touches their dog. That's just a fact. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. We got Paulo Costa, another guy at middleweight. Dude was undefeated, coming off a win over Yoel Romero. And then he goes and loses 4 out of his last 5. That's the situation that Paulo Costa has found himself in. It's tough, and his most recent win, he's got 0 wins over currently signed UFC fighters. I'm hearing behind the curtain that he's fighting Shara Magomedov for UFC Qatar. That's what I'm hearing. Don't quote me on that, and again, it's Costa, so who knows if he accepts it. But Adesanya KO loss. Vettori, that was the one fucking good. That was the only good part of Adesanya's title reign, by the way. Just letting you know. He won the belt off Whittaker, and then his title win, his interim title win, his undisputed title win, and one of his defenses were the only good parts of his reign. Whittaker fight was a robbery, and the other 3 defenses were terrible. But anyway, yeah, dude lost to Marvin Vettori, Israel Adesanya, and then he beat Luke Rockhold in a sloppy decision. Comes back after a year and a half. Loses to Whittaker, comes back again later that year, about 4 months later, loses to Strickland, hasn't fought since, looking at probably about a year layoff by the time he gets back in May at UFC Qatar, because the Sands people have just bought out half the fucking fight night schedule for the year. But if it means we get stacked cards, who cares? I'll wake up at 3 a.m. But anyway, that'll do it for Costa. Moving on, though, to the light heavyweight division. Dominic Reyes is the guy that I have gone with for light heavyweight. Now, you guys are going to question this one because it's Reyes who's now coming off 2 wins. So am I saying fall off now? No. But are there any other guys I could think of? Not really. Like Rakic, I guess. But I don't think it's even like a fall off for Rakic. He just kind of lost some fights. But Reyes genuinely went on a downfall. Like he got a robbery loss to John Jones. He then gets slapped 3 times in a row. Yeah, Blachowicz, Heary, and then Ryan Spann. The Ryan Spann one was tough scenes. But yeah, Reyes is back now, so it's happy. Now we don't have to be depressed about a Reyes downfall. But still, it's undeniable he did go on a downfall. Who else at light heavyweight can we really think of? Like Jamal Hill, I guess. He's lost 2 in a row. If he loses his next fight, Jamal Hill would be the inclusion for sure. Anyway, though, heavyweight division last up, we got Tai Taco Bell Tuivasa. Dude was number 3 in the world after KOing Derek Lewis, and is now looking down the barrel of a fucking loss to Shamil Gaziev at UFC Qatar, which will hopefully happen. Well, that'd be funny. I'm seeing this dude in his fucking I'm sorry about clicking off, just opening and closing my AirPods case. I don't know why. But yeah, Tai Tuivasa's in his comments. People being like, "When are you fighting again, gang?" And he's like, "Probably next year, fam." And I was like, "What are you fucking talking about next year, buddy? You're gonna be over 300 pounds by next year if you're not already." I think he would be. There's no way Tai Tuivasa's weighing under 300 pounds right now. Have you seen the state of him? He's actually morphed into a sphere. Like, he is a spherical human being. He has changed shape. He has bypassed the normal state of matter with his new form. But anyway, that'll do it, guys. Another generation. Ty's the number 1 on this list. 5-fight losing streak is crazy. Ferguson I didn't even want to talk about. That's just sad. There's other guys who are well gone now. But yeah, let me know who I missed. Who else is on a bit of a skid, a bit of a fall off. Let me know. And other than that, give me more content ideas so I can keep uploading daily for you. Thanks for 14k subs as well, guys. Big ups. Appreciate that. 15k. I don't know. I'll do something cool. I am doing a celebratory 14k video, even though I do appreciate you guys. 15k. 20, like 15, 20, 25, those are the milestones where I'll put up a poll option. You guys can submit your applications for what subscriber special video I should do. Anyway, goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one.